Welcome back, dear friends. Another exciting episode. So much going on. And next week, or possibly by the time this is actually uploaded last week, I've got my two 16-year-old children's birthday party in here. So I'm going to have a little bit of moving around and reorganising of space. So I really have got to get the clock finished and hopefully those kits. So let's get on with it. So this is where we're at the moment. We've got that done. We've got the hands calibrated so the Arduino knows where they are. We've got all the electronics on the back. So the next job is to get that in there, on there, with the switch and the other bits, and all mounted smooth and shiny on there. Oh, and what a lovely collection of cardboard boxes I'm getting. I just can't help myself. Cardboard boxes are wonderful things and I just have to keep putting them somewhere. Yes. Now the bane of my life, or one of them, is dust, as I mentioned in the last video. Because however carefully I try and clean everything up, once I put the glass on and close it in the clock surround, screw it down, get everything else wired up, I can practically guarantee that a piece of cack, black, big cack, will appear somewhere prominent on all the clock face engravings. And it's the next thing I have to do, because I'm going to fix the glass on here and that's all then going to be sealed in. So I've hoovered, I've blown dust off, I've dusted. Fingers crossed this time. It's almost like these things are actually sort of multi-dimensional time travelling things. And there's pieces of dust and stuff just floating around in another dimension. And once this is all put together, they just appear as if by magic. You would not believe it. Anyhow, adversity is struck once more. Having cleaned the glass and spent 10 minutes putting it on, finding new specs, taking it off, I realised that the hour hand is very close to the dial. In fact, it's so close that it rubs against it because for some reason the dial's stuck up over here. So I'm going to have to take everything to pieces again. It's 2 hours later and I've got it done. And as always with this project, it just keeps giving, because I realised why it was slightly warped and things, and I needed to move this interface board an extra 2mm up to allow wires and other things to get out of the way. So I'll make a note of that. I've also improved some other things that I can't remember and got it all back together. I've glued the top down actually into here so it can't bow up at all. Really pleased. Set the hands again to point to the right places. So now we're back to where we were 2 hours ago. I will try and get rid of the dust and get it all together. And the great thing is, while I'm getting on with the clock, the laser cutter's cutting out lots and lots of bits for the chronograph kit. And lots of engravings and cuttings and all sorts of stuff. Most exciting. In other words, it's exciting kids' parts. Every household should have one. That's what makes these clocks so good. And they're very similar low to these ones, with a spun metal outside and a plastic holder support inside, just held in place with some springs. Now, ideal for creating steampunk machines and stuff. So there are 3 spring clips that hold this together, and I've lined it all up, and I have to say I'm very pleased. That looks lovely. How exciting. So now we can get this fixed down onto the wooden base. This is the great thing about jigs, especially cardboard ones. It makes it so lovely and easy to line everything up. So that lines up with the edge and all the rest of it. Now I can just sit this on and then mark out where the holes need to be. And for marking out the centres of the holes, I've recently found a load of these in my marking out drawer. They're leads for propelling pencils. They're absolutely ideal because you can just poke them down, even really little deep holes, and they'll mark the centres. Lovely. The jig also handily told me where to stick some aluminium tape so that the spirit level shines brightly and looks nice. It doesn't get much better than this, I tell you. I'll film on the telly, a spritzer, and I believe 120 of these to glue together. And my lovely jig and their annoying reflections. it's the next day and I've got them done, and I'm working my way through the smaller ones, the 37mm ones. And during the meanwhile, I've cut out 20 of the side gears. I was so pleased to have managed to get all these to fit on one sheet, 600 by 300mm. It's most exciting. And here they are, lovingly cut out. So not much waste at all. They're all done finally, so I can move on to the clock. And here we have a polished knob. Well, it's not polished yet, it's stained. I forgot to do it yesterday, so it's now dry, so I can polish that up, because that is going to fit on there, which I can't get to the back of once this is in place, the switch lever. Then I can install the switch lever, and then I can sort of get that marked out, because that's the next job. Look at that shine. That's just polishing it with a bit of lamb's wool. That's gorgeous. It's this stuff that I like to use. No affiliation, as always. Rustin's wood dye. This is, what is it? Dark oak. Brilliant. It's sort of water based, so it doesn't stink. You paint it on, you let it dry, and then you buff it up. And it does produce a beautiful finish. So here's the back of the clock. Here's the switch. Here's the assembled loveliness. And now that is going to push onto there with a grub screw to hold it in place and to get the spacing right. And to help me set it up, I have yet another beautiful jig. Yes. This one, oh look, front of clock side. That's good. Don't want to get confused. So that goes like that. That lines up with that and the side. Look at that. And then I can tighten it. This is position 1. So that's lovely. Now, when I was younger, I used to mark out the position of all these holes and the little labels for the 4 or 5 switch positions prior to fixing everything down. Then as I got older, I realised it made much more sense to fix this together, get that fixed back on the base, and then use this and its positions, its 5 positions, to actually mark out where to drill the holes and fix everything else. Because even with everything set out like this, and with all the measuring and marking out jigs, it varies. The angle of the dangle or something or other varies enough, so it doesn't sometimes line up. There we are, after some twiddling and tweaking. That's position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just lines up symmetrically, so that's nice. Now with the aid of another drug, this one, which I slip under here, and then in position 1 I'll line that up with the centre, move that out of the way, centre punch the hole, and then I can drill using a Forstner bit the 5 little rebates for these 5 beautiful little engravings. How lovely. Oh dear friends, it makes me laugh when I remember the time I built one of these using a 12-way rotary switch, because I had forgotten that I used a 16-way. And try as I might, I could not, surprisingly, get the switch positions lined up to 5 positions. It was a nightmare. It suddenly dawned on me. Needless to say, I did make copious notes. Call me old-fashioned, but the thought of drilling out these on the pillar drill with this lot sitting there, nah mate. So I'm going to move that out the way. The great thing about Forstner bits is they are beautiful. They cut a completely flat bottomed hole, and the sides are just, oh, they're an absolute joy. Amazing things. And then you're left with 5 beautiful holes that hopefully line up, and your engraved labels will fit in. So that's nice. Ooh. But how do you get the labels lined up and horizontal? I hear you cry. Well, sellotape, I answer. It's perfect because you just stick a little bit over it, then you put a load of super glue on. I suppose it would be sensible to use a different sort of adhesive, but who cares? And then you can see what you're doing and line it up beautifully horizontal. Let's get that done. Look at this. Oh, the joy, and it has cut it all out perfectly from 3mm acrylic, which I sadly seem to have run out of. What an idiot. Now these bits are for the hour display on the chronograph clock. And funnily enough, this is sort of linked to what I've just been talking about, getting the engravings the right way up. The engravings for this kit are all tear-shaped, because I realised trying to line up so many small things was impossible. It does look rather nice. So the laser cutter, has engraved a little rebate there for the numbers to sit on, hole in the back, all these lovely other little twiddly bits, and the gear. That's lovely. I'm so pleased that this has worked. Here they are, lovely. And I was just checking this, remembering that in fact I have a row of magnets around here. Because this lever, the switch, is so long, the little ball bearings and springs inside the switch itself, they don't have much effect at that distance, so I thought it needed something, and magnets seemed to be the right thing to use. Here's some I didn't prepare earlier. Beautiful little things. And then I noticed, of course, on here, it said mark out where the magnets need to go. So with the switch in line, I can put a little mark through the hole in the switch where the magnets go. This hole, which isn't there, and I remembered last time I had to try and drill it in situ, and I forgot to add it to the drawing, but I have done so now. What a pain. So I don't want to have to take all this off. So it's weighing up. Am I going to risk it and ruin this switch and possibly the rest of the clock, or do I just take this off, drill the hole, and I don't know. I'm going to err on the side of caution and take this off to drill it, just in case. Phew. God dear. 6mm hole drilled with a little lip on it, and there's the magnet, because I found with my one, the original one, I just used a magnet in the switch, and then this isn't going to work, is it, with me using one hand? No. A magnet in the switch and just some 5 steel-headed screws that would attract it to it, but it wasn't really positive enough, so with all the subsequent ones I've built, I've actually had a magnet fixed in here and 5 of the other magnets fixed around inside one of those funny plastic bits. Right, let's stop talking and get that glued in. That's it. Right, we're back on track. There's the magnet glued in. Here's the 3mm thick bit, which I've yet to spray up, because one thing I have remembered is I need to drill the holes for the magnets in here. Then there's a piece of red felt that sits on top of this between here and here. So there's a very small gap between the magnets, and I've lined this up so that that magnet stays in the centre. And I've marked the ends out now. This is by far the best way to do it. I can get it lined up perfectly. Lovely. Look who's coming to the workshop to try and tell me that it's time for her walk. It's not. There's still about 3/4 of an hour to go, but it's worth a try, isn't it? Oh, bless. There we are. I've got the 5 6mm diameter holes drilled, and I've glued in each of the magnets on a piece of tape so it doesn't stick to the glass, and I scribbled on the top of each magnet, having tested it to find out which way around it goes, north and south, so it is attracted to that. Otherwise it would have the completely opposite effect. Right, the moment of truth. That's okay. Oh, I tell you what, magnets are wonderful. And these neodymium ones are incredibly powerful for the size, and so cheap, unless you buy them from RS. If you buy them on, eBay or something, it's just so cheap for dozens of them. Oh, that's lovely, and it's all lined up perfectly, so I can now spray the sides of this one, so that I've still got a nice paint-free top to glue the red felt on, which will just make that, oh, right. I like spinny things, and I like magnetic sticky things. Oh, that's lovely. Right, stop it. Time to take the dog for a walk. Yay! No expense spared here. Production values, oh yes. I've cleaned the window because when I cut out felt, it's amazing. Let me just focus it. And I'm really looking forward to this. I can get oh, I can't even say it, it's so exciting. Look, there's all these lovely bits that are painted now felt. Oh, I can get all that fixed together. It's so exciting. Ooh, missus, look at that. Oh, it's joyful. And it's got the red felt, nice little bit of trim, little bit of decor. What a joy it is to be working with copper and brass again. How lovely. Now that is an end feed joint that you'd normally heat it up, well, put flux in, heat it up, and then run solder in the joint, and it would be drawn on by capillary action. I use naturally super glue to glue them together. These are compression joints fittings along with that one, and they have an olive, so you have a nut and you have a copper olive, preferably copper if it's better quality. Whoops, running out of hands. And the other bit of the fitting, and then you simply tighten that up. What it does is it crushes the sides of the olives really tightly to make a waterproof seal. And it's very handy for this sort of thing, because if I do tighten that half a turn with a spanner, that'll be solid, but it means I can undo it when it comes to poking all the wires through, because surprisingly there are a lot of wires to poke through here. I can get it apart and thread them through. Right, I'll get them tightened and get this mounted, and then carry on working down past the valve and things. Now on the back of the bell ringing motor is the bell ringer. Little top dip for your hair. There's a laser cut bit here that just pushes on and the motor shaft and holds this in a little slot, and at this end makes a lovely bell hammer. Are two brass dome nuts held together with a little bit of thread, and it works beautifully and does look rather nice. It's pipe time. I do love pipe time. Got that, the valve fitted on, that's lovely. The brass Monson ring to support it, all lined up beautifully. Hammers attached to the back, so that's hanging down by the bell. And then I need to make one of these, nice coils. A coil of copper. Every self-respecting steampunk machine should have one. I made it from some of this really malleable, this is actually 8mm diameter, which you can get beautiful little fittings, these little things for. But I made the coil out of 6mm, which you can't get beautiful little fittings for. I think it's for things like brake hoses on vehicles and stuff. And I just wound it round a circular lump of metal, and then stretched it all out and sort of lined it all up a bit. And hopefully that will be okay. I've followed the plan, Stan. All the bits of pipe and everything ready, but I need to have the fitting that fits in the bottom of there. So during the meanwhile, as I do have to completely clear the extension, the workshop, for next weekend, and that's not very long away, I thought I'd do some more work on the chronograph kits. Here's my checklist, all ticked. Here's my photo. Look, 20 sets. How enjoyable. I do have to say, a little bit of OCD, because they all have to be arranged identically, but it makes me happy and gets me off the streets. So there's all these lovely little complicated bits and pieces. What a joy. 20 of them all checked off, so I can now put them into the bubble wrap bags. And again, that's going to reduce tons and tons of these trays with all these different bits in, just down to 20 little bubble wrap bags. Now I'm going to use one of my favourite jigs, because what I've done, this could be helpful to several of you. I've got this thin piece that I've cut out 2mm acrylic, and then this 10mm thick bit on the back, and I need a hole really accurately through the middle. Cutting a hole on my laser cutter, 60-watt laser, through 10mm acrylic, it just won't be accurate enough. So I've cut one in the 2mm, which is perfectly accurate. And what I do, I carry it over here to one of my favourite jigs, which is that. Because I used to try and sit this and hold it down and drill through the middle, that as a guide. Every time the drill would get through, it would jump up and ruin it. So there's a lovely jig. It doesn't even have to line it up too much, because the drill bit, which is under all that fluff, will do so. Let me show you. Oh, look at that. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfectly centred. Lovely. Right, let's get on with the clock. Now, needless to say, the two fittings that I ordered from Amazon just because I wanted to get on with this have been delivered, but somehow to the wrong house or something. So I popped out this morning to B&Q. Now, what I realised was how expensive the internet's got. Amazon, eBay, anywhere else online are so expensive compared to actual shops. So it's inevitable. So I picked up two of these. They're not quite the right things, but they will suffice. Never trust something where they've spelt the name so badly. And as always, they have used, for cheaper versions, brass olives that take a lot more pressure, but thankfully I've got tons of copper ones spare. Look, it all fits together beautifully. And this time, for the first time, I've actually worked out how I can glue all this together and still get it assembled, because before, in the past, I've fixed bits in and not been able to take them apart and all this, but this time I can just pull that out, fix that in and pull that out. Isn't that lovely? So I can glue that in, I know exactly where that's got to go and that and everything. Oh joy, unfettled. Look at that, even though it says MSN, I'm very pleased. It's all symmetrical and lined up. Lovely. Right, next thing is to connect a power supply to that brass fitting, which luckily exactly fits the standard shower hose. This is a brass antique shower hose, and the first thing I need to do, because I need to get some wires through it, is to pull out the pipe, the rubber pipe that's in the centre. And the way we do that is to grip on one end without a nut, these lovely smooth rubbery vice grip things, then get a pair of pliers and grip the centre bit. There we are. That's what we want. And I'll do the same with the other end, cut the rubber pipe, because it just so happens this beautiful rubber pipe is exactly the right dimensions to use to connect the air horn to the air pump on the Nimnet thread well. Keep everything, never throw anything away. So here's the rubber pipe, rubber tube, let's get rid of that. And now we can pass a bit of cable through here. So one end connects to that, and we need the other end, because it needs to go to a USB plug, connect to this beautiful rayon covered metallic cable. Lovely. And the perfect way is a 15 to 8mm compression fitting reducer, because that will screw perfectly. If I've taken the olive and the thing out, that will screw into there and provide a perfect way to grip this. This rayon covered cable is quite expensive. This isn't, so what I'm going to do is have this on the exterior and then join it onto this that can then run up through the pipe and round here, protecting it from all the joints and the copper, and actually connect to the clock circuit board, I think. What I discovered was that putting two pieces of 12mm wide when it's flat heat shrink tube over this rayon stuff means that it's just the right length. Come on, Olive, where are you? There, look, just fits over, and then I can tighten that, and that will really clamp it in tightly. One top tip: when you're joining wires that you've got limited space to fix them in, do them offset. Also, the other great thing is if it means you've got any prickly bits sticking through, they won't touch. I've put two more layers of heat shrink over each one, just in case. I'm going to slide another one over the whole lot. Ta-da! We have it all connected up. There's the USB on one end, and there's the thing connected with the lovely wires. Now, the next thing is to feed them through that bit. Sounds easy, isn't, but I think that will be for the next video, because I'm sure I've got enough for this one. Thanks very much for watching. Very grateful for your continued comments and support. Hope to see you very soon. Oh, and a couple of people have suggested that I hopefully am getting plenty of money from the adverts on YouTube. I'm not. I think YouTube are increasing the number of adverts just to try and get people to pay the subscription to not have adverts. I don't think you can get any money from advertising until you have 10,000 subscribers, so I'm not going to hold my breath. I make these videos for you, dear viewers, and because I also really do enjoy making them. Having spent 25 years in secondary school, the chaos and everything happening and all busy, it is lovely making these videos and feeling that I'm able to share my thoughts with you. So thanks very much. Hope to see you next time.